Hi, I want to share with you this system, which I think will bring a lot of value to your prospecting and sales pipeline. This system and workflow does three things. Number one, it ensures that your team, the key stakeholders in your companies, that would include your sales team, your co-founders, are all being active on LinkedIn consistently. Number two, it fetches and identifies leads that are engaging with your profiles and qualifies them to identify exactly the ICP from within those leads. And then finally, it reaches out to them. The important thing is that this system is almost entirely automated, around maybe 90% automated. Right. Now, let's start with the first. I'm going to show you exactly how to set this whole thing up. And this is basically the setup that we do for a lot of B2B tech companies in the GCC. So number one, your activity on LinkedIn, and this is where we see the most resistance and challenge, is basically having your team consistently being active on LinkedIn. When we talk about activity here, we're referring to two things. Number one is posting, but also number two is commenting, which is equally important to posting. All right, so let's start with the first step. We have here workflow, and this workflow, what it does is that it facilitates the posting part, so that coming up with ideas of stuff to write about. So the first thing here is that it looks at a feed of blog articles that are all relevant to your niche. Of course, this would be adapted to your company. Let's say we have 200, 300 articles all related to your niche. It randomly selects one of them and scrapes that article. It also looks at a brand brief. So this is a document that explains basically your brand in terms of your vision, mission, key themes, value prop, your target audience, etc., just for the AI or the workflow to understand your brand. It also looks at guidelines for writing LinkedIn posts. And finally, it looks at other LinkedIn posts, maybe over 20 or so, that match the style of writing that you want to be following. Right now, all of this is fed into this AI here, which then eventually generates a LinkedIn post. And this is an example of the kinds of posts that it would generate. As you can see, it has a hook at the beginning. It's broken up into one-liners or short sentences, not using a lot of emojis, just one here, has a question at the end. So basically all the best practices of a post. And of course, we can add also visuals to these. Right, so the final thing is that it sends that generated post to a Slack channel in this case, but we can also send this to really anywhere. We can send it to a Teams channel if your team is using Teams. If you're using Slack, we can send it there. We can send it to a Google Doc, an email even, right? So really anywhere. So within basically just one click, so anyone on your team can basically just with one click generate and trigger this entire workflow, and in less than a minute they receive a LinkedIn post for them to review and then post. Okay. All right, so that's the first part of being active. The second part is commenting, and this is again really important. So we facilitate that by providing you with a tool that basically gives you one feed of specific LinkedIn profiles that you want to be engaging with, right? So that it's easy for your team to just come in here, leave a comment here or there. Okay. All right. Now, the next step is that we want to be able to fetch anyone that engages with this activity of your team on LinkedIn, whether it's someone viewing your profiles, someone engaging with one of your posts. So all of these leads, we want to be able to fetch them and then also qualify them. So this is where we send them to a clay table. And within this table here, we're able to qualify exactly which ones are ICP in terms of their title, which ones are ICP in terms of the account or the company they work for, and then finally decide which ones we're going to be able to reach out to, which ones we want to reach out to. Okay. So the final step is after fetching the leads and qualifying them, and obviously the qualification here can be based on so many other factors, right? Not just title and the basic stuff like industry and all that. We can actually go very deep in terms of qualification. And then finally, we send them to an outreach sequence. And this outreach sequence will basically send things like connection requests, maybe messages to these ICP leads from the profiles of your sales team or your key stakeholders, depending on how you want to approach this. We've set this up basically for GCC tech companies, which have found a lot of success in terms of getting responses from the system, but also booking meetings, because you can see here, this outreach, it's not cold anymore. We're basically reaching out to people that have shown some interest and have shown some level of engagement with your key stakeholder of the company. If you have any questions, I'm here. Good luck.